Now, who are some X factors for the Buffalo Bills 2025 defense? Is Bobby Babich already on the hot seat? Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals appear to be at odds with the recent showing of season 3 of Netflix's Quarterback. And is Patrick Mahomes a fat embarrassment? Not my words. A radio host that went viral yesterday for discussing how Patrick Mahomes' physique and his overall healthy lifestyle may be impacting the future of the greatness of said quarterback. All unpacking this on another edition of your favorite morning NFL show / Buffalo Bills show, the Don Mafia Report. Folks, smash that like button for me. It is by and large the easiest way to show love on today's stream. It propels it out to the YouTube algorithm because I got to tell you what, I always see my familiar faces in my live chat community. It warms my heart. I love spending all of my mornings talking ball with my virtual friends, and I want to continue to grow this community. So if you can, hit that like button for me and subscribe and turn on bell notifications so you never miss an opportunity to join me live. I'm curious. I want to see how far Bills Mafia truly extends. Folks, please roll call in the chat immediately. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I could only assume that the vast majority of you are Bills fans. I would like to change that eventually. I do see a Patriots fan in here. I want to have a fan from a different fan base by mid-season fully represented right in the community. So roll call, let me know. Where are you tuning in from? How long have you been a Bills fan, man? How long have you been an NFL fan? Let's get into business. I do need to give a giant shout out to you are already all too familiar with who to call if indeed you were ever hurt in a car. And I think it's pretty obvious at this point. It is our good friend, William Matar. Folks, if you are ever hurt in a car, you are looking at the gentleman that you need to call. I would never wish a car accident on my worst enemy, but the truth of the matter is there's a lot of terrible drivers out there. Some people aren't paying attention. Some people are texting and driving. Some people are rubbernecking a car accident, which causes yet another car accident, and an injury could very well occur to you or a loved one. If that happens, you got to make sure that you are taken care of. And I would not recommend anybody else but my good friend, William Matar. I love his social media game, too. In case you haven't seen what our friends over at William Matar put out in the social media sphere, man, have to check them out. They are wildly entertaining, and they are a good friend of the show. And I sincerely appreciate that. Shout out to everybody in the chat already, man. We have 716 in the chat, Buffalo, New York. Olean, Jacksonville, North Carolina, Bills fan since 1982. Tyler Balin is come in and showing me a little bit of love here. He said, some technical difficulties there, folks. Sincerest apologies. Tyler came in and says, Dan the man, let's have a day, kid. Absolutely, man. I love to see that. We have Chat Town. I became a fan in 2006 when my mom's boyfriend at the time was a Bills fan from Buffalo. Got to visit Buffalo a few times, but never saw a game, with a crying emoji. Man, I'll tell you what. Hopefully one of these days we can make that come true. We can make that come true. But listen, I got to talk about Joe Burrow. In fact, I'm not sure if you guys were made aware, but the third season of the Netflix series, which follows various athletes in the NFL. First season was NFL quarterback, then followed by NFL receiver. Season 3 is out. This time it is covering 3 specific quarterbacks, Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, and obviously Joe Burrow. Now, I feel that we ended up getting quite a bit of answers regarding the relationship between Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow, and the Cincinnati Bengals organization. And it's tough to draw a conclusion because for the most part, Joe Burrow is relatively reserved when it comes into talking to the media. He's not a player that is typically going to go on a Twitter rant of how frustrated he is. But last season, he agreed to be on this show where his every move was documented. He was on the hot mic from training camp all the way until the Cincinnati Bengals had to call it a season due to yet another disappointing performance. And this clip, I'm not going to play it because I don't want to risk getting demonetized on today's channel. But although that there was a win, they did pull off a win against the Tennessee Titans, a little closer than we would have liked it to be, especially for a team that was in the top 3 for the 2025 NFL draft. Joe was out there spewing profanities due to his frustration with the embarrassing performance. It started off on this clip where he stormed off of the sideline saying, "What the F? We're making all of these different mental mistakes." He pointed out that one of his offensive linemen was offsides 6 or 7 times. Zach Taylor attempted to sit back and spew this nonsense, suggesting, "Hey, it's all right. You did a great job on that drive." And Joe looked him dead in the eye, cut him off, and said, "That was fucking embarrassing." Please pardon my French. I am just directly quoting what I heard from this clip. I highly recommend you check it out. It's at C-Box Sports. I'm sure you've seen the clip already. But look, I got to tell you, I think this episode, this series on Netflix is really going to be spelling out exactly where the relationship between Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals are truly going, or is truly going. Now, I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine. His name is Jesse. He is a 49ers contributor on Roundtable Sports, and he brought this up. And the more and more that I started to think about it, it was solidified the second that I saw this clip going viral on social media. He said, "Dan, I think Joe Burrow, if Cincinnati follows the same trajectory, the same path that they did in 2024, Joe Burrow is going to request a trade. He is going to have enough." And look at it. We can look at the Cincinnati Bengals organization, and as much as we love to watch them light it up on the offense, 40, 50 point plus offense type game, eventually, I feel like Joe Burrow is going to look into the mirror one day and say, "Am I about to be the next Carson Palmer? Is this organization going to drag me down? Is this organization going to continue to ignore perhaps 2 of the most important units that an NFL roster needs to prioritize, an offensive line and then ultimately a defense?" I got to tell you, I promise you that's going through his mind. For anybody that's trying to look me in the eye and say, no, he's happy in Cincinnati, he's going to ride it out through the remainder of his career, not unless you start seeing some success over there. Look, it is a difficult pill to swallow for Cincinnati Bengals fans / for Joe Burrow. But one thing I would always like to point out to everybody, and I say this for my beloved team, the Buffalo Bills, these athletes owe absolutely nothing to these organizations. These athletes look at these NFL organizations as a paycheck, as their job, as their day-to-day. They have no loyalty. If, for example, you are upset with your current working environment, eventually, folks, you are going to look for greener pastures. Whether or not the trigger point is a better culture or the trigger point is a higher salary, make no mistake, these athletes, I do not care who we are talking about. If things do not go well, and this is regularly consistent, eventually somebody is going to have enough. And I really think that this Joe Burrow's relationship with Cincinnati, especially if they follow the same suit, where yet again their defense ends up laying an egg and sells for the offense that is putting up a historic amount of points on a game-by-game basis, and say that the offensive line continues to be less than disciplined and Joe spends a lot of time on his ass, he's going to look at cautionary tales of Andrew Luck having to retire too soon. He's going to look at cautionary tales of quarterbacks that spent way too much time on an organization that clearly was not on the same page. So watch this clip, folks. Watch this clip and let me know your thoughts. I'm very interested to hear what everybody has to say. I do want to remind everybody here that I am now structuring my show similar to what you would hear on the radio. I am going to be having callers backstage throughout the entirety of the episode. And I want you to tell me what is on your mind, whether or not that it's about the topic that we just discussed, or whether or not that it is something that's just on your mind, you gotta get it off your chest. That is what we're doing over here. And you know what? I am so thrilled that I get to take my relationship with my audience to the next level by always being able to hear what I have to say. So officially, folks, I am going to be opening up the call-in lines here. For anybody that wants to join, I will be letting you in sporadically as the show continues. So do not be shy. Feel free to come in if you are feeling it. As DTN has come in saying, I felt like the Bengals did a horrible job of how they handled the T. Higgins contract situation. Look, it's tough when you look at it this way. It's very tough when you look at it this way because this team spent over $270 million to have the exact same team. Exact same team, $270 million. The exact same issues exist. I wouldn't say that they had a very impressive draft class by any stretch of the imagination. And they haven't had an impressive draft class for 3-4 years. I feel like after I've been looking back at a couple of different players here and there, not many have hit. But we will see. We will see if Zach Taylor's job is indeed safe. 6 rings. Have a Pats fan coming in showing a little bit of love. What's up, man? How you doing this morning?
It's good. I got to catch the show this week with work. I work at the hospital now, right? So it's good catching maybe once a week. So I got called for 2 things. I told you last time, my family and I, we had restaurant businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think a recommendation I'd give for your channel next year while it's growing is you guys should find a way, like Richie did. He got field passes right in games. So I think you guys should find a way to do like Bills, Patriots.
Yeah.
And Dolphins, Jets or something, once a year. So you get the whole benefits of the round table.
Yeah. Well, fun fact, actually, last year we ultimately ended up doing Jets Bills at MetLife, and we did Miami Jets in Miami. This year, so far, the only event on the books is week 3, Thursday Night Football, Bills and Dolphins. And we're also expanding out to LA, where we are having our very first event for a Rams and 49ers game, which is super exciting. But trust me, man, it is on the books. It is a goal of the company. I really want to meet you guys in person, man, because I feel like I have such a good relationship with everybody that tunes in with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, listen, I sincerely appreciate that. What else is on your mind?
Okay, I want to put a case for one of my favorite players, Julian Edelman, to be in the Hall of Fame. Now, I know it's not going to happen, and it's a very long shot.
Okay.
But he always has an argument. You know what I mean? That's his playoffs numbers.
Yeah.
A lot of people on ESPN, they don't even consider the regular season anymore. They just say, wake me up when the playoffs start.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just look at his playoff stats, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Right. Jerry Rice, you see it. Sorry.
So I look at Julian Edelman, and I got to tell you, I'm kind of surprised that the sentiment out in sports media is that he's not a Hall of Famer. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was a Super Bowl MVP.
Right.
Like 1 year. Is that correct?
Right. 10 catches, 141 yards.
Yeah, I feel like you have nothing to worry about, man. I'm not sure I've seen it. Like, not unless I'm wrong.
Who had 215 yards in his MVP and 11 catches. So the numbers are there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
Rice,
shocking because and so I can't really point out like anybody that has said that he wouldn't be a Hall of Famer. He's eligible here he's got to be eligible
26.
soon. In 2026.
Yeah. And
first ballot
catches. Rice 151 to 118.
Uh-huh.
Those are good numbers. Those are Hall of Fame numbers. Receiving 22-45, 14-42.
And so I feel like you have nothing to worry about there. I'm not.
But people, though, they look at the regular season. You know what I mean? And the Pro Bowls.
Yeah. First ballot.
But the best that I found is the legend averages 5 catches a game. He averages 6. He's at 76 yards a game. Rice is at 77.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 6 100 yards receiving games, while Rice has 8.
All right. So I'm looking at the eligible players for the Hall of Fame in 2026. You have Drew Brees, you have Larry Fitzgerald, you have Jason Witten, Phillip Rivers, Frank Gore, Marquise Pouncey, Todd Gurley, LaShawn McCoy, Des Bryant. You have Julian Edelman, who is up there. So based off of the list I'm looking at, my friend,
Drew Brees he'll get in for
oh
sure.
yeah, he's first ballot.
I don't know though. He did it once. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get he's first ballot because he's the quarterback, but what happened the other years?
So I compare it. And I compare
to Josh
Phillip
Allen.
Rivers.
If Josh Allen wins this Super Bowl this year, he will get the Drew Brees. All he needs is one if he brings the title to you guys.
It's the Drew Brees treatment as well, because quite regularly we have these conversations. Say that Josh Allen were to continue his success for, say, the next 5 or 6 years, never wins a Super Bowl, but still is regularly in the top 3, top 2 of statistics, like has nabbed an MVP already. That's typically a debate that begins, like, is Josh Allen already a Hall of Fame quarterback? That's a really hard debate to have between Bills fans right now. I'd probably point to players like Dan Marino. If Phillip Rivers ends up getting into the Hall of Fame, then I think we already have our answer. But I'm still hoping that we end up raising that Lombardi this year, so there is no debate whatsoever. But yeah, man, I wouldn't worry about Edelman not making the Hall of Fame. I'm not so much sure about first ballot this year, but I am super confident that he will be there, bar none.
Right, for sure. Yeah. I'm just looking for your quarter.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, dude, 6 rings. I appreciate you, man. As always coming in. Like I said, you were always welcome to come in to the show. I sincerely appreciate you, man.
And I also want to say one more thing. I think your greatest quarterback is Jack Kemp. If you're just looking at success,
that is a hot take.
Hey, and you're just looking at championships, what sports is all about.
As far as
Kelly.
As far as championships, you're right. Yeah, as far as championships, you're right. He is he is the most decorated Bills quarterback in history.
Yes, and in terms of getting there, and you see what Kelly did, 0-4. So
yeah,
I know it's a different. And Josh Allen, I probably have Allen 2 or 3, but that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. Well, hey man, listen, I appreciate you, and so I look forward to more of your calls, man. So I feel like a lot of our call-in personalities are the same, and I love it because now they are building a personality with the audience and coming in. And then it's funny, man, because I had back-to-back Patriots fans. Dan Wynn is in the chat. DTN, now that I know your name, brother, I'm just going to keep calling you by Dan.
Oh, thank you, man. I just want to get this off the chest because I've been hearing this Bengals talk for like weeks and weeks now, and this is just laughable of itself because the way that how they're mistreating their players, specifically on defense, is just so laughable because you got a guy who led the league in sacks and you're not giving him like a contract. And then you have a first round rookie not getting a contract. I don't know if this is correct because I know Joey Bosa back in 2016 hasn't received a contract until like the end of training camp. Do you think that this would be the case for Shamar Stewart, or there could be a possibility that he might get redrafted?
So that's still on the table, surprisingly enough. We had the pleasure of welcoming on Shamar Stewart's father a couple of weeks ago. And we all thought that once that video dropped, it was going to be a couple of days right before Cincinnati finally started to figure it out. What Cincinnati is doing is very experimental. So they're trying to manipulate the language that would guarantee a certain amount of money due to injury. And prior to this experiment, that was something completely new. And what Cincinnati is trying to do is make Shamar Stewart a guinea pig. Now, some NFL organizations are slowly but surely starting to implement this, but Shamar is looking at it saying, okay, I'm not trying to pull an Eli Manning where I want an absurd contract with the team that I want to play for. He's looking at previous contracts of where he was drafted, 17th overall in the first, and he just wants the same funds and protections that I wanted to say it was Jared Verse that was drafted the 17th overall in the prior draft. And he also wanted the same protections and salary that the former Cincinnati Bengals first-round pick, Amarius Mims, received. So that's the weird thing. Trey Hendrickson, that's different for me because, yes, it's shitty because they could have afforded to give him a contract this offseason if they weren't so perplexed on bringing back T. Higgins and Jamar Chase at the exact same time. So that's an entire different scenario. But it's basically just a mix-up in overall priorities. That's how this team is. You heard me say earlier in the show that this team spent well over $270 million this offseason to have the exact same team. And a lot of Bengals fans are confident, and they're saying, oh, it's all the defensive coordinator. That was truly the issue. I hope you're right. I hope you're right, dude, because if not, that's when you're really going to start to find some animosity within the locker room. If they go out and repeat the same season that they have had for the past 2 years. And Burrow will, you heard it here first, if Cincinnati misses the playoffs, Burrow will start to plan his exit from the organization.
Oh, exactly.
I can promise you that.
Exactly. Joe Burrow might have the same treatment that Carson Palmer and what Andy Dalton had to go through. Same with Jamar Chase. It's like the AJ Green scenario all over again. Plus, I'm really curious how the Bengals defense will work out with the defensive coordinator who was the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame, because the defensive coordinator who got fired is now the defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. So I'm curious to see how the Colts defense will work under that ex-Bengals defensive coordinator.
So Lou is not the issue, in my opinion. It had everything to do with personnel. Like, people would start pointing fingers at Lou and say, oh, it's the defensive coordinator. He's been absolutely terrible. But he was the same guy. And look, I am a big fan of Joe Burrow. I think that he is a top 3 quarterback in this league. He's generational, has great accuracy. He's a solid QB. But when people try to come on here and credit Burrow for that Super Bowl run,
no,
they were not watching football. It had everything to do with that defense and how their defensive coordinator planned each and every single game. Like, Lou ended up holding Patrick Mahomes to his worst offensive performance to date. That's why the Cincinnati Bengals beat the Kansas City Chiefs that one year in the playoffs, was due to that defensive performance. Like, Burrow had 2 picks that game, had 1 interception. His stats were nothing really to look at. Had everything to do with that. So I hope they're right. Like, maybe this new defensive coordinator that they brought in is going to be the answer. But what can you do? I mean, what can you do?
Also, this might be a bit too early because I've seen the Bills-Bengals matchup, and I thought it would be somewhat of a rivalry because we know that Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, I would say they were like friends, but how will the Bills capitalize on the Bengals defense now that the Bengals have a new defensive coordinator? It's a lot different than it was back in like 2023 or like that snowy game down in Buffalo in the divisional game.
No, I think when it comes into the Buffalo Bills, so attacking that defense is, yes, I'm sure there is some optimism around the coordinator, but they still lack heavily within personnel, right? Like, not the best pass rush once you end up subtracting Hendrickson. Like, while Hendrickson ended up leading the league in sacks last year, and the Cincinnati Bengals were still well into the 20s when it came into pass rush. Like, that goes to show you like how bad it truly was. Secondary, a lot of issues here and there. That Bills and Bengals game, and so depending, of course, on how the Buffalo Bills defense adjusts, so within this season and into year 2 of Bobby Babich, it's likely going to be high scoring, but I don't particularly see an issue of Buffalo being able to score against that defense. It's more so, what's the Buffalo Bills defense going to do against Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
And how are they going to adjust with Chase and T. Higgins? I'm really hoping that Max Harrison ends up stepping up, and same thing with Benford, and we finally get a pass rush. Who knows? Because still a lot of question marks around Cincinnati's offensive line. It's just time will tell.
Yeah.
And
also, one more thing before I leave. Why do I still have the feeling that people might say that Bengals will make the playoffs, but until they fix the defense and until they like take games off of Baltimore, it's still Baltimore's defense, because what has Cincinnati shown for like the past 2 seasons? Because it seems like Baltimore got better, Cincinnati got worse, and it feels like it's between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati now in the AFC North that will be fighting for who will make the wild card.
Cincinnati is going to have to do something that they haven't done in quite some time and have a fast start to the season. Like for the past couple of years, it's been 1-3 starts or 2-2 starts or 1-4 starts. That can't happen, especially with how competitive the AFC North is. And people are sleeping on Rodgers going over to Pittsburgh. I think that team is still going to be dangerous, especially with some of their acquisitions already this offseason. So they're going to have to do something out of character, and that's going to have to be have a super fast start. But time will tell. Dan, I appreciate you calling in, man. You are welcome anytime.
Thank you so much, man. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, bro. You as well. Shout out to DTN, man. Shout out to DTN. I got to tell you what, man. Let's talk about this fat embarrassment. I'm just kidding. Don't come at me. Not my words. Was a radio host that was discussing Patrick Mahomes and his physique. In case any of you missed it, some pictures ended up launching where Patrick Mahomes was out enjoying the 4th of July with his family, his wife right over here, and his physique was front, face, and center. And many people were saying it's not that big of a deal. He's won us Super Bowls. And I got to tell you, I would have to agree with you. I really don't think that this should be much of an issue. But a radio host actually ended up disagreeing with me. And from what I understand from various Kansas City Chiefs fans, and this guy's very hated. Like, he is not very popular with the Kansas City Chiefs fan base. But he had this to say. Kevin Keitzman from KCMO Radio said, he is fat. He is an embarrassment. Stop the fast food. Do a sit-up. Do something. I don't understand it. You can't just run through your NFL career eating Taco Bell all the time and door-dashing fried chicken. You've got a $500 million contract. It is your job. He's done nothing but eat and drink this offseason. Talk about preventing a man from having a good time. Now, Chiefs fans obviously ended up berating this guy on Twitter, but then he ultimately ended up providing some additional context of his thoughts on everything, and something I feel like is interesting. He ended up saying this, and this is something that I find to be somewhat interesting. He said, I know that he said he eats terribly and has a dad bod and laughs it off, not questioning his talent or greatness, but I've been doing this 40 years, and when the great ones get to 30 and don't change and work harder at it than ever, they get passed by. Tom Brady was a better athlete in his 30s than 20s, not even close how much more he cared. Last year, the Chiefs' game plan was Mahomes is magic and will win in the end, and they made it to the Super Bowl, was phenomenal. But it cannot be the organizational game plan. Ask him if he thinks he's done improving as a quarterback. It's just a matter of time until he gets serious. Why wait? Now, a very tough criticism for the QB. And I got to tell you what. When I look at this, and trust me, I've been seeing all of the memes of Patrick Mahomes compared to Jared Goff his past 3 seasons. And it's here. Let's go ahead and put this up real fast. Let me see if I can pull this up real fast right there. There's me. But like, you will see that like his statistics are very similar to what Jared Goff has done for the past season. Like, nothing like an outright difference, if you will. And like when it comes into Patrick Mahomes, I have to look at it this way. He has shown, especially at the beginning of his career, that he could take over an offense. Like he can gunsling it all over the field, and he can extend plays better than any quarterback I have ever seen. But the past couple of years, I think we can all agree that his statistics started to diminish a tad. But I don't particularly think that it had anything to do with his ceiling or his capabilities. I think it had everything to do with Kansas City being able to adjust. I don't care how good of a quarterback you are. I really don't. Eventually, all of these defensive coordinators are getting paid ridiculous salaries to adjust. Each and every single one of them are. And eventually, you need to be able to go back to the drawing board and scheme out an advantage that will confuse some of these defensive coordinators. And that is what this Kansas City Chiefs team has done. They ended up focusing a hell of a lot more on the defense opposed to focusing on the offensive side of the football, and it has worked. Like, what has it been? 6-7 years in a row where they have gone to the AFC Championship? Sure. I am not looking at this picture of Patrick Mahomes and saying he is no longer a threat. And I kind of think that this guy was a bit off of the mark, if you will. We will see how Kansas City ends up adjusting to this overall situation. He's going to be fine. I still think that this team is going to be scary now that they have 3 healthy wide receivers. I think there's question marks around the offensive line, and I have faith that Patrick Mahomes will be just fine, but still something to discuss. I hate Mahomes, but he's still a great quarterback. He has no talent on the receiving core. They lost Rashee Rice last offseason, and they're getting him back. They lost Rashee Rice, and they lost Hollywood Brown all the way up until the playoffs. So if anyone's sleeping on the Kansas City Chiefs, then I really don't know what to tell you. I really do not know what to tell you. Mikey has come in. I mean, Taco Bell is the healthiest of fast foods. I got to tell you what, and this is all alleged, I'm not entirely sure that this is true. But Taco Bell, I used to have that all the time in college. My buddy told me a story. And look, so this is all alleged, right? Like he told me that he went to Taco Bell one day and he said he ordered something specific and they looked him in the eye and they said, "I'm sorry, but our meat hoses are down." Now, again, this is all alleged. I cannot confirm this story. I have never heard that myself. All right. But damn, the second I heard that rumor, it's been a while since I went to the good old Taco Bell, my friend. It's been a while since I went to the good old Taco Bell. I will say him gaining this much weight will make his speed decline. Jay has come in with a great topic. Here's my thing on Pat. What the radio host brought up, it does make you think, because I'm seeing a lot of Chiefs fans come into the mentions. And again, I do want to let everyone know that I do not agree with this radio host. I think Patrick Mahomes is fine. I think that he will be completely fine. But many were comparing him to, look at Big Ben. Like he certainly had his pudge toward the back half of his career. I'd probably respond to that and say, okay, and did he win a Super Bowl during the back half of his career? It's something to think about. And I can empathize with it. But I feel like you'll be fine. As long as Andy Reid is at the helm, ladies and gents, we are going to be completely fine. Dad bod strength is legit. Fear it. No bones about it. Is an advocate for the dad bod, and I can appreciate that. I had a work friend from Arby's, and the roast beef comes in liquid form. Oh my God. All alleged, folks. All alleged. That's pretty, that's pretty nuts. Jay, when Josh Allen's speed declines, I will be sad. Beth, the meat comes frozen in bags. It's already cooked, and the bags are reheated in boiling water and then kept on a steam table for use. All right. Well, remind me that from now on, I will never go to a fast food place ever again, baby. All right. It's all what Dan Mitchell cooks up in his kitchen. It's all what Dan Mitchell ends up cooking in his kitchen. So Main topic of the day, or so at least a topic that's adjacent to the main topic is Bobby Babich. Bobby Babich, ladies and gentlemen. Is he safe? Is he safe for the 2025 season? And many of you are probably thinking, of course he is, Dan. He is only in year 2. Well, what if I were to tell you something entirely different? What if I were to tell you that Bobby Babich is on the hot seat in 2025? And bear with me, because I understand that this is going to be a controversial topic, but I kind of want to spell out some things for you. Look at his 2024 campaign and then sort of put certain thresholds I believe he needs to meet in order for him to continue to be the defensive coordinator of this team. Some people might come out and say, hey, you know what? Like, he inherited this from Sean McDermott. I thought he did very well. He was still top 10 in a variety of different metrics. But he stepped into a massive role last season. He took over the Bills defense from Sean McDermott. And while he showed flashes, all of the numbers tell the story that should make Bills Mafia a tad nervous. And how I could realistically compare this is, Dan, this Buffalo Bills team took the damn ball away, and I thought he did wonderful for his first season. And I finally found a comparison that made sense. So as many of you know, we are launching a college football show on Roundtable Sports, and we started planning some of the topics that we are going to cover right on the first week. And somebody pointed out to me, they said, Dan, is Ryan Day of the Ohio State Buckeyes, is his job in jeopardy? I know that he won a national championship. I know that he has won Big Ten conference titles in the past, but his record against Michigan is a losing record. And that sounds silly, right? But that's the number one priority to Ohio State Buckeye fans. That is the first thing you need to do, is beat Michigan. Literally the first thing that you need to do, because that is truly what is important to a college football program. I believe that that is the exact same thing to Buffalo Bills fans, is defensive performance. Because what has been plaguing the Buffalo Bills from succeeding for the past couple of seasons, getting booted from the playoffs, it has had everything to do with the defense. It's with the defense, ladies and gentlemen. That is likely what it is. Say that Buffalo ends up seeing yet another heartbreaking exit due to some bad personnel, or one of our corners getting cooked, or the defensive line once again not pressuring the quarterback. I have a feeling that Buffalo's patience is wearing thin when it comes into defensive performances. I really do. But I would like to look at some of the positives of what Bobby Babich was able to accomplish in 2024. And then obviously we'll focus a bit more on what he needs to improve on and some certain red flags. And that'll ultimately end up giving you my take of what I think we can expect from Bobby going into the season. Now, again, have to start off with the positives. It was not all bad. And I do want to preface it with that statement. But the first thing I wanted to point out was his points allowed were very impressive for a first-year defensive coordinator. Now, I can tell you, I think that statistic is a bit skewed based off of something I will bring up later once we end up getting into what he needs to improve on. But 11th in the NFL is reasonable. It's not something that we can complain about, although that it was a regression from what Sean McDermott had this team just the year before. He was at 4th in the NFL for points allowed, but still serviceable, especially for a first year. Next up, situational. On paper, this dude had 6 games where he held his opponents under 15 points. That means in about a third of their games, Babich got this unit to lock in. Again, I think this statistic is skewed, but bear with me. And last but not least, player development. That is exactly what got him the defensive coordinator job, if you were to ask me. Was formerly a linebackers coach when Matt Milano completely rose to the occasion, when Bernard rose to the occasion, and Bernard even ended up taking another leap in 2024. And he was also the DB's coach when Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer completely revived their careers into all-pro seasons, trading them off. And you're seeing signs all over, right as into his ability to develop second and third year players. So those were some of the good things. Now, what I want to do is point out things that I think that he needs to improve on, because that's something, right, that I think is going to be the reason why he's going to be watched very closely in 2025. 28th and third down defense. How many of us have complained about this? It's brutal. It's one of the worst in the league, and you cannot be a serious playoff team if you're letting teams convert third downs at will. Watching our defensive players gassed game by game by game by game. Some people might say it's a bend but not break type defense. I've never bought into that. In fact, I would say that I think this is one of the biggest lies you hear in covering football in general. It's a bend but not break defense. I don't think that any defensive coordinator should have that mentality. Your mentality for a defense should be, I want to be as efficient as humanly possible and keep my defense as rested as humanly possible. And so I feel like when people say it's a bend but not break type defense, I honestly think that that is just, and so it's an excuse and for lack of personnel. But that's just me. Like, next up was middle of the pack in rankings. And so the defense overall. And so it took a step backward from when McDermott was calling the plays. And so it is what it is. Less pressure, less consistency. And that matters. It does. And last but not least, I'd have to go lack of in-game adjustments. Very few moments, especially right in the Ravens game, where we just could not get pressure on the quarterback. That is a story that we have seen from Bobby Babich over and over and over and over again. And granted, was his first year, and so a problem that was inherited. And then this is that. So why did I think that some of these positives were skewed? I feel like we're going to start off with point reduction or points allowed. And points allowed, yes, we were 11th in the NFL. But, folks, I got to tell you, once you incorporate how bad our third down defense was, if Buffalo did not lead the league in turnover differential or at least be top 3, I guarantee you this defense would have been a hell of a lot worse. And as much as I would like to attribute coaching to a certain degree to a team's propensity in taking the football away, a lot of the times it has everything to do with your personnel. Like, yes, you can coach technique when it comes into taking the football away, but actually executing it full on, full out, I'd have to attribute 80 to 90% on the specific player, or 80 to 90% of dumb luck of being in the right place at the right time. One thing I can tell you is if Buffalo did not have that propensity to take the football away in 2024, this defense would have been a massive issue. Absolutely disgusting issue. And quite frankly, I think we lucked out. So third down, stopping third down and rising from the 4th worst defense in the NFL from stopping third down conversions, or 27th in the league as a third down defense, that at bare minimum needs to rise up to the top 15. And hope and pray and cross our fingers that we can continue to emulate that identity of being able to take the football away. Because, look, I got to tell you, it's going to be a hard time for this defense in 2025 unless that is fixed. And quite frankly, right now, I think all excuses are out the window for Bobby Babich, because one of the biggest things I think that we could say in his defense last year was, Dan, we had question marks from a personnel perspective. And we did. And we did. There was a glaring hole and a massive gap between starters and second and third string players. Now, this front office recognized that, and they made that a theme of the offseason. drafts, same thing with free agency, by bringing in Michael Hoyt, by bringing in Larry Ogunjobi, by bringing in Joey Bosa, by drafting Max Harrison in the first, by triple dipping at the CB position group. This front office made it an absolute priority to make sure that we no longer had any depth issues. So now it's coming into, can Bobby Babich, let's see what he's all about, because now all of the excuses are completely off of the table. So I do remain optimistic. But again, I am curious to see if we can finally get some sort of sense of pass rush that goes into it. Have Matthew calling in. Matthew, looks like you're in the car, man. What's going on? Matt, what up, dude? Hey, man, service seems to be a bit bad here. Yeah, man, you're a bit staticky, though. You're a bit staticky.
Yeah. Is it you or me? It's probably me.
Yeah, I think
It's
you.
me, right?
Headed, yeah, where are you headed, bro?
So I don't know if you see my profile picture or whatever, but yeah, I'm in band. But
nice.
I'm doing some band thing right now.
Mm-hmm. Sick, dude. Sick. Where are you headed?
Just practice. We're gonna do some practicing.
Hey, Matthew, listen, man, I'm going to let you go for now because it's really static. So just do me a favor and give me a call, brother, once you end up getting into a better service. But best of luck, safe travels. Have some super chats that have come in. Kat, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate that. Sorry that I missed your birthday, Dan. Got to tell you, Kat, do not feel bad. I just appreciate that you came in and showed a little bit of love. I am officially 34 years old. Can you believe it? Can you believe it, folks? 34 years old, grown man stuff over here. I appreciate the birthday wishes. Patriots 12, $5. Thank you so much. My goal is to go to Patriots camp next year and get Julian jersey signed. Pick number 232. He's 100% passing with a few touchdowns. He can play cornerback and defensive tackle too. Patriots 12. Listen, man, I really hope that you're able to get there, my friend. I enjoy it. Brantley Pruitt, $3 donation. Brantley, I hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday, July 8th. I appreciate the generosity that we're seeing here. Jay has come in with a question. Dan, what's the number to call in live? Jay, you will notice my live link right at the top of the live chat. Just click that link and you will be able to get in and get behind some of these other guys that want to chop it up with me. Happy belated birthday. Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate that. Matthew Smith has come in. Is Fourth and Forever going to happen today? Matthew Smith, we are actually taking a bit of a break. It is the dead season of the NFL. So I do know that TD is on vacation. Same thing with Richie. He's on a quasi vacation. And we're just going to be hanging out for a little bit. We're going to be hanging out. Beth B has come in saying, Ugh, 34, you are a youngin'. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And so I tell myself that all the time. Shout out to Mike Green and all of my mods in here that always keep the justice and keep the law right in the live chat. I cannot do it without you. Smash that like button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a damn thing. Share the channel with your Mafia friends and get them to join. That is what I'm talking about. Dan, AJ Sturdy Boy. Yeah, what's going on? Jay from Long Island is backstage. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Yo, Dan, what's up? I'm a big fan of you. How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm living the dream. I appreciate you calling in.
Pretty good. I'm just enjoying my summer right now. Go Bills. I'm pretty static about this season. How do you feel like we're heading into week one? We're going to beat the hell out of Lamar Jackson, have 3 interceptions off him, sack him like 8 times. I know that's a little bit too much,
dude.
but I know it's a little bit too much, but you know what I'm saying,
Dude, you know what? Nothing is wrong with that. And there's so many narratives, I think, that need to be addressed this offseason because we hear the Ravens in the regular season. And for some reason, a lot of people are still holding on to the fact that Cincinnati is one of our rivals, although that we've only played them twice in Josh Allen history, especially while Joe Burrow was the QB over there. Dude, I am super, super optimistic. I'm just really hoping that this defense can really end up stepping up to the occasion, right? I love Bobby Babich, what he did last year. I mean, this ball took the damn football away. Problem is,
Oh yeah,
I don't think that's sustainable. Like, we can't be going up
yeah.
and hanging our hat on the whole, and so it's a bend but not break defense. That's not sustainable.
I just want to sorry, Dan. I just want to say one thing about Babich. Like that's the topic of the day. I don't think Babich is a bad corner. I think he was actually did a pretty good job last year, all things considering. And
Yeah.
he lacked a lot. He lacked a CB2 because Rasul Douglas was not that good last year. He didn't have a great safety talent duo with. I mean, Rapp was fine, but he's not like an elite safety. If we're being honest, Damar Hamlin was okay. Nothing great, nothing special, but just okay. But we need something better. And hopefully, with this draft, we address CB2 with Maxwell Harrison. The safety duo is still a suspect, to be honest. I don't know what Cole Bishop's going to be. I don't know if we're going to run it back last year with Hamlin and Rapp. If we do, I mean, I guess it's okay, but is it enough to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs? You tell me. But, I mean, we addressed defense with pass rush. I'm actually really high on Landon Jackson. I liked him out of Arkansas. So we'll see. It depends on Babich. I think Babich should not really be in the hot seat. And, you know, as long as we have Joe Brady and Babich and McDermott, I think that's, we were just we were just having a good referee team away from going to the Super Bowl. Yeah.
I know, right? It's funny because it is a game of inches, right? And one thing that I'm really resting my hat on or hanging my hat on is that this front office acknowledged that one of the biggest issues with this team was lack of personnel. And lack of personnel, I believe, can be attributed to our lack of ability of being able to stop third down conversions. And we did it, right? Like, we hammered down on the defensive line. How many different acquisitions were made with free agency and into the draft? Same thing within the draft with secondary, etc. So now, theoretically, we really don't have much of an excuse. Say that Buffalo ends up hitting the injury bug to some extent going into the playoffs. Now we don't need to worry about such a massive drop-off of player talent. God forbid that Benford has to go down for a game right so within the divisional and or the championship series. That's kind of my thought. But, dude, so you and I share optimism. I promise you that.
Thank you, Dan. Listen, it's great talking with you, Dan. Hopefully you continue doing this every time. I'm great talking to you. I've been watching for over a year and a half. Go Bills, man.
Go Bills, man. Yeah, man, you as well. Go Bills. Man, I love this call-in segment. I really, really do. Because I get to be able to establish a relationship with my boys in the live chat, man. This is always a good thing. As James is next up. James, where are you from, brother? Talk to me.
Go Bills.
What up, man? Where you from, brother?
Addison.
From Addison. All right.
Yeah.
All right, man. What's on your mind?
I hope the Bills can win a Super Bowl this year.
Oh, God, James, I hope that's the case. I really hope. If not now, when? And so I got to tell you, man, look, you know what? It's easy for us to look at the team as a whole from the year before and identify issues. And I think the majority of Bills fans would agree that a lot of the issues had to do with lack of personnel on the defensive side of the football. And all signs are pointing that we address this year. And I would like to say that we have a better team than last year, which ended up finishing historically within Bills history. So I am optimistic, man. And I finally hope, for your sake, for my sake, and for all of the nice gentlemen and ladies watching this show, that we can ultimately end up saying that the Buffalo Bills are 2025/2026 Super Bowl champions.
I checked their schedule. They got to play the Ravens in week 1.
I know, man. It's going to be a test for sure. When I look at the Baltimore Ravens, great regular season team, and so they will be fully healthy, but at the exact same time,
Hopkins.
Yeah, but and so I feel like it's the ghosts of DeAndre Hopkins. You know, that's often a joke I like to throw out there. It's the ghost of DeAndre Hopkins, if you will.
Yeah.
We'll see, man. You know what? Like, what often people don't like to point out is that regular season matchup we had with Baltimore last year, we were in body bags when it came into injuries, right? Like we were missing out on Taron Johnson. We were missing out on Bernard. I want to say we were missing out on Benford as well. Maybe I'm wrong, Bills Mafia, let me know. But it's great because now we're going to be seeing two teams that are fully healthy, and we will see who is truly the better team in the NFL. And I am looking forward to that, man. We only have 2 short months before we get to enjoy some Buffalo Bills football. I know you're excited, man.
I am.
Yeah. Now, what else is on your mind, man, right before I let you go?
One thing. I hope the Chiefs lose the Super Bowl next year.
Hope the Chiefs lose and don't even make it. I think we are on the same page. James, thank you so much, man. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Please enjoy the beautiful weather I hope you're having, and feel free to call in anytime, brother. We'll see you soon.
I will. See you soon.
Thanks, bro. Shout out James. Shout out James for coming in and showing me a little bit of love. Beth B. Babich thought it's not Frazier. Babich has a mouth on him and is not afraid to stick up for himself. Frazier was more meek to stand up to McDermott. And speaking of Beth, finally here. What's going on?
Not much. How are you, Dan? What's up, Mafia?
What is up, guys? I know that you're familiar with Beth. She's regularly in the chat, spreading positivity on the Buffalo Bills. We appreciate that. I am doing well. It is beautiful here in the panhandle of Florida. And I'm just trying to think what the plans are for afterwards. What about yourself? What's going on with you?
Well, we're actually in the process of moving. So packing, it's been packing the last couple of weeks, packing up my classroom because, as you know, I'm a teacher. So I had to pack that up.
Okay.
So lots of good stuff.
That's exciting. So I got to tell you, I absolutely hate moving. I hate it more
so do I.
than anything. But so I'm assuming like you're probably going to leverage some of your students, right? And just ask them, hey guys, would y'all like to make $20 this weekend to help move boxes?
$20. They need volunteer hours next year for school. So if you want to carry a couple boxes, this stuff can sign off on an hour of volunteer hours.
That is absolutely brilliant. I'll tell you what, like last time I moved by myself, I had to carry some historic dresser down 3 flights of stairs. I about pulled my back entirely, and I swore. I said, from now on, I don't care how much it costs. I am going to spend for a moving company. I refuse to do it. So I empathize with you, but it is still exciting that you are going to be having some new beginnings in a new house. That's awesome. You'll love to hear it. Yeah,
absolutely. Very exciting. And we're right in the heart of South Buffalo still. So it's a lot closer to everything. The best part is I can walk to work. I don't have to drive my car, which is amazing. I'm very excited about that.
Perfect. So I'm assuming South Park High School. Again, remind me.
I work at Notre Dame.
At Notre Dame. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So I literally work. I believe you said that your sister or one of your family members works at Discovery 67 right on Abbott. I literally work right down the street.
That is awesome. Was my uncle a time ago? And so as a matter of fact, so
there you go.
I am sure that you may have passed them by in passing. Small world indeed. But Beth, what is on your mind about our beloved Buffalo Bills?
Well, I really like the conversation we were having with regards to McDermott and Bobby Babich. So my biggest question and concern, and I look at the team from back when Frazier had it. So when Frazier was our defensive coordinator, it was very rare in those big game moments that he was the one actually calling the plays. It was McDermott calling the plays. So my question is now, with Babich taking over for Frazier, and Babich has a much louder of a voice than Frazier does. I feel like he would be able to stick up for himself better than Frazier would. Is Babich allowing, and I say allowing because really it's his position to lose, is he allowing McDermott to call these plays at our most crucial moments? And is it really on McDermott here that we've lost, like the Rams game, like we lost in the playoffs to KC? Like, is this McDermott's doing, but putting the blame on Babich because it's his quote unquote his defense?
Yeah, it's tough to say because I feel like that this is a part of the narrative of, is this yet again one of Sean McDermott's scapegoats that he's trying to set up?
Right.
Now, say that you hear it from the media or from Sean McDermott himself. He's trying to say, yeah, I've completely stepped back and it's Bobby Babich's show. I'm not sure how much I believe that, Beth. I really don't.
I don't either.
I do think that there
I
are
don't believe it at all.
signs. So I do think that there are signs that he's at least attempting to step back from what has plagued him in the past. Last year, when he ended up hiring that former ref, and so to be up in the booth and to tell him when to challenge a play rather than putting that into his sort of discretion, I feel like that's a good sign. But I feel like it's very difficult to teach old dogs new tricks, and I would not be surprised if McDermott did step in. But then again, like, we have to look at where was this Buffalo Bills defense in 2023, where we ranked 4th in points allowed, and then Babich took over and was, I think, around 11th. I think a lot of that has to do with personnel. But
Agreed.
what's optimistic is now we have addressed all of the pains that we had last year, at least on paper. Depth was a massive concern, but now this front office ended up doubling down on, hey, it doesn't matter if Daquan Jones or Ed Oliver are out a couple of games. Now we have proven guys that can fill in, like with Larry Ogunjobi once he is off of that suspension. Same thing with Hoyt. Same thing with TJ Sanders, who we drafted. So I'm optimistic. I think my biggest concern is that I love that we took the football away last year, but I don't think that's something that we can rely on. I really don't think it's something we can rely on, unfortunately. But still,
No, see, and I'm
optimistic.
there with you. So, and I going into this season, granted, I loved the fact that we were number 1 in turnovers last year. I thought that was such an awesome statistic to have, and to really kind of show the type of team that we are on offense, or on defense, I should say. I think it's great, but at the same time, again, those big moment plays, where are our guys? I do agree with you. I think we did definitely address the depth aspect. I think we really do have some great pieces. I absolutely love our draft this year. I think we really nailed what we needed to nail. And all this, talk about, oh, we should have gotten a wide receiver in the draft. I'm kind of happy that we really didn't get one until the very end, because we got guys. It's just a matter of developing those guys so that we can see them. We haven't seen what Coleman can do yet. We haven't seen what Samuel can do yet, because let's be honest, Curtis Samuel was injured all last year. And when he finally was healthy, he finally started looking really good. What's that going to look like this year? I mean, we really did a great job in our draft this year. And I'm really excited to see how Babich takes this defense, not McDermott. I want to see Babich sign off on this defense, because I really think if everything is left to him, I honestly think our defense could easily be ranked top 5 this year. I really, really do.
And so I got to tell you what, a litmus test is going to be week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens, Beth.
100%.
That is going to be the ultimate test. And I think we're going to understand what identity this defense truly has very early this season. Beth, I appreciate you calling in. Hey, Beth, I
absolutely have a great one, guys.
Yeah, most definitely. Shout out Beth. Beth knows ball, ladies and gentlemen. Beth knows ball. She's coming in. Love chopping it up with everybody in Bills Mafia. Don't be shy, folks. If you are wanting to call in and tell me what's on your mind, let's talk a little bit about breakout players, or players that need to step up for the Buffalo Bills in 2025 in order for this season to come to fruition, right? Because obviously we have a lot of expectations surrounding our favorite team. But let's talk about this. Mafia Sports Report has a great show, by the way, right over on the Buffalo fan base. Go check him out. It's not Babich's choice. McDermott will continue to take over play calling when he wants. All ego when it comes to McDermott with the defense. Hopefully he can grow. Hopefully he can grow to trust Bobby Babich and see what he is all about. This defense melts in big games, playoffs mainly. That all falls on McDermott. It's been a problem every season under Sean McDermott. We are going into year 9 with a defensive-minded head coach, and we still are having issues on the defense. That is just crazy to me. I'll tell you what, I agree. Love Mafia Sports Report. Tommy and Mikey rock. Shout out to Tommy and Mikey for showing a little bit of love, man. For showing a little bit of love. But I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about some players that I think really need to step up. And it's only natural to revert over to the defensive line. Greg Rousseau. Some Buffalo Bills media personalities are very high on Gregory Rousseau, and rightfully so. Signed a contract, which, so in my opinion, wasn't necessarily due to play, like we had to re-sign him, but more so that was a hell of a lot more friendly to the cap. Say that we didn't sign Gregory Rousseau, then we would have had a massive cap implication by having to pay him his fifth-year option salary. Was more so of a money move. He did enough to where we wanted to retain him, but still hasn't like lived up to the 10-plus sack type guy. I need this guy to get home. I need him to get home. Last year, he had well over 60 pressures, and he had 9 sacks last year. And his moves are there. His athleticism is there. When it comes into run defense, this guy is an absolute unit. And one thing that is very optimistic for me is, while one of the biggest issues we had last year was stopping the run, right? I guarantee you that this year we are going to see significant improvements in stopping opposing running backs, particularly when they attack the C gap, right? Or particularly when the lane is right outside of the tackles, due to how good Gregory Rousseau and Joey Bosa are at setting the edge. Bosa and Gregory Rousseau are a defensive coordinator's dream when it comes into tackling defensive ends and protecting the edge. Like, these two are absolutely incredible. But what I need to see is Gregory Rousseau actually end up finishing. He has all of the talent in the world. And granted, this play I'm about to show you is a lot of athleticism and finesse when it comes into really breaking into the inside, which is very difficult to do for any defensive end in the NFL. And granted, of course, so this was against a left tackle, or excuse me, a right tackle on the Arizona Cardinals, who is not really anything. But here we have Gregory Rousseau, and I'm just going to show you what he is capable of doing, right? Like that right there with the footwork, his length is absolutely insane. Like, you look at each and every single sack he had last season, and granted, we only had 9 that we have to work with. But he's there. He's there. He has the length. He has the athleticism to get it done, but for some reason, it just never really translated. I think some of us could go out and say, hey, perhaps it has everything to do with the quality of play from Daquan Jones or Ed Oliver. I suppose I can hear you out on that, but there were so many games where Greg ended up getting close, but unfortunately just couldn't get it done. Here, let's go ahead and check out look at that, our good friend, right? Guy is winning by pure power and his overall length. So in order, first player on my list that needs to step up for this team, bar none, Gregory Rousseau. Bar none, Gregory Rousseau. Be the edge rusher that we drafted you to be. That is my prayer for the one player on this defense. Next up, I would like to discuss a little bit of Tre'Davious White. And I think Trey White is an interesting case, because many have been making or giving Trey White the moniker of, hey, he is washed up. He's nowhere near where he was during his all-pro years, his Pro Bowl years. And I'd agree with you, but I don't think that he is entirely washed up. In fact, I would go out and say that I think that Tre'Davious White is about 75 to 80% of who he was prior to leaving the Buffalo Bills. And it is all over. It is all over his tape as well, which is very encouraging, which is very, very encouraging while he was over on the Baltimore Ravens. He's not going to be a starter, but again, like, he is going to be the guy that we're going to have to turn to if, for example, that we see a Christian Benford go down, or that we end up seeing a Maxwell Harrison go down. We're going to need somebody that we can trust to fill in. And Trey White's, all of his intangibles of vision, of not breaking too fast, of keeping his head down, following the wide receiver, was all there. And last year, he had a full, healthy season. I think that he needs to step up as a quality depth piece in this secondary. I really do. Because as high as I am on Maxwell Harrison, he is a rookie. And yes, I think that there will be some growing pains. I think we need a solid insurance policy, and I think Tre'Davious White ultimately ends up doing that. I really, really do. Following. One player that I think needs to step up on the defense. 0 questions asked. Is this gentleman right here. Matt Milano. We need Matt Milano. And I got to tell you, yes, I understand he has hit the injury bug for the past couple of seasons. It's been less than ideal. But when that man came back, especially toward the back half of the season and into the playoffs, he was giving me hope that the Matt Milano we all know and love still exists. And he's all over the field. Quality representation from the Buffalo Bills. Greg Rousseau, Trey White, Bernard, and Matt Milano are my 4 players that need to step up for this team. Bar none, 0 questions asked. White better show that he can perform to the level he played during his year in Buffalo. I love to see it. Think about it. Trey is home. He's comfortable, and he's got a load of talent to know that the youngins are on the team will benefit him. I worry about Milano. He's a hell of a player, but we feel it when he is not there, and that is absolutely true. It is. Now, what's beneficial for me is we knocked off an entire year of his contract. So assuming he stays healthy, I'd go out and say that he's probably going to be playing with an extra sense of motivation because he will be looking for a new contract. I hate to say it, but I do think that Matt Milano will no longer be a Buffalo Bill in 2026. Yes, that's very sad, but I just have a feeling that he's about to be our guy. Where should Josh improve? Spidey Munn with a great question. And a question I think that we can use to wrap up the show. About an hour and 12-minute show. Absolutely insane. Spidey Munn with a great question. He came in and he said this. Where should Josh improve? So although Josh Allen won the MVP last year, and well-deserved if you were to ask me, I think the one thing that stands out to me, hands down, has to be him really dialing in with his chemistry with 2 specific players. One is Dalton Kincaid, and one is Curtis Samuel. Both of those players, when it came into off-target throws, they shared the vast majority of that statistic. I think a lot of it had to do with lack of chemistry. So I think that Josh could do a better job this offseason in training camp to really hone in and put in a lot of work of gaining that trust, of making sure both of those players are on the exact same page. Because those are 2 very important pieces of the offense that I think should have been exploited or utilized a hell of a lot more in 2024. And we have a leader on this team. It's Josh Allen. And that's something I think that he needs to step up. Like, that's a category where I think that he needs to step up. Because imagine what a Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid connection would do for this team. That would make our offense even more dangerous. Imagine what a Curtis Samuel and Josh Allen connection would look like now that Curtis is healthy going into 2025. I'm optimistic that both of these players are going to see significant improvements from last year. And I'm optimistic that Josh Allen has acknowledged that. So that's probably what I would say that he could improve on, is like making sure that he prioritizes those 2 relationships. That's where I'm at. I don't think Trey shows he is that guy, because Harrison will take the CB2 spot. Groot needs to step up and produce. Bernard needs to stay healthy, and Milano has to show he's that all-pro once again. Stop yelling at me. I already did that. Oh, look at that. Smash that like, hit that bell, and join us again. Absolutely. Folks, I appreciate all of you for tuning in to another edition of the Don Mafia Report. I'm going to be calling it a day on today's show. Again, I appreciate everybody that called in. I will always be welcoming in callers from now on out on my show. I cannot wait for the season where we have a lot of things to talk about. But smash that like button for me. It's the easiest way to show love. I want to grow this community. And so I want to make new friends each and every single day. And how we can attract new friends is just by those of you that tune in on a regular basis. Hit that thumbs up sign for me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another edition of the Don Mafia Report, and I will see you again shortly.